Okay, welcome everyone. Today's date is November 21st, and we have a special guest today, Mr. John, also known as iAdvisor UK. How you doing today, John?
Great, thanks for having us on the show.
And also we have Ben tied in. How you doing, Ben?
What's up, everyone?
I always say hi to you anyway. But today we've got some actually interesting topics to talk about. It's been a rather busy few weeks. And also, please forgive us for not having a podcast lately. We've been super busy. But nonetheless, today we're going to be talking about PlayStation 4, also PC gaming versus console gaming, PCs versus Chromebooks and Macs. Also going to talk a little bit about Nexus 10 and the iPhone 6. So let's start off with PlayStation 4. So this came out exactly 1 week, we can say the 15th. We were out there waiting in line, able to get our hands on it. And we're just going to talk a little bit more about PlayStation 4. Now, John, is that still available? That's not available yet in the UK, right?
Not yet, but I think maybe next week. Soon though, certainly this month.
Next week, yeah. I don't remember the date. Sometime towards the end of November. But anyway, what's your thought on PlayStation 4? Have you been able to kind of look into it at all?
I haven't been able to get my hands on it at all. I did want to sort of check out the next gen consoles, but from what I've seen, video reviews, sort of what websites have had to say, feedback seems pretty good for it. So I'd be interested in getting my hands on it.
Yeah, we got it last week. We're out there till about midnight, waiting in line. We finally got home, unboxed it, and I got to say, I've been using it for the past week, and the graphics are just. I mean, it's just amazing, the difference between PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4. At first, I kind of thought, how much better can it get? But, I mean, I was playing Need for Speed, and you can actually, when the water was falling on the car, you could see it coming off the car. That's
awesome.
That's how intense it was. And then, not to mention also the DualShock 4. I've been using that for a little bit. And the difference between that and the DualShock 3, I never want to pick up a DualShock 3 again. Just because of the fact of how comfortable it is. I mean, I'm holding it right now in front of me, and just everything from the lighting on the back, the little light bar that they have, the touchpad, everything they did with this controller, they seem to have done a great job. Now, I did notice, though, I haven't played any games that use the speakers on it, so I don't know if that's going to be something we'll see improved upon with a game. I think that has to do more with the game developers, so hopefully we'll see some integration with that soon. Now, also, Sony sold 1 million PlayStation 4s opening day.
I think the coolest thing about that is just in the United States and Canada, because it hasn't even released in most countries.
Which is crazy. Now, John, how's it looking over there? Is there a lot of excitement for PS4 over in the UK?
Oh, definitely. I mean, some of my friends at school, they're just like totally pumped to get their hands on it, and everyone's talking about. What are you getting? Are you getting a PlayStation 4? Are you getting an Xbox One? Are you going to be playing whatever game online? So that everyone's sort of planned ahead, even though it hasn't came out yet.
Yeah, how about Xbox One? When is that due to be available over there?
I haven't got the dates off the top of my head, but I think that is either.
I think it might be.
I think it might already be out. I think it's already on Amazon or something.
Really? So it might be coming the same time, because I know Xbox One, they had some issues on when it was going to be available in this country and that country. But okay, yeah. We're not going to be able to get an Xbox One. Wanted to, but I'm really intrigued by actually the new Xbox controller, especially with the triggers and the analogs. They're looking pretty sick. So Xbox One actually is going to be released tonight here in the United States. So we're seeing a lot of people already lining up in like New York, and a lot of people eager to get their hands on it. Of course, Xbox One is going to have a YouTube app on it, which that's one thing I've been disappointed about PlayStation 4. It does not have a YouTube app, which
that kind of surprised me.
That's very surprising. So, nonetheless, PlayStation 4, awesome console, and I'm not going to really do a review on it because I guess a lot of people will decide between Xbox One or PlayStation 4. But now let's go into more of John's category: PC gaming versus console gaming. Now, I haven't used PC gaming much before, but I have seen the graphics, and they look pretty darn sick. Now, John, what's the difference that you've seen between PC gaming and console gaming?
Well, earlier this year, I had an Xbox 360, and I'd been using Xbox for 4 years or something like that, and playing on a 360 on a TV, and then going to play in 1080p on a gaming PC, the level of detail is insane. And especially with the latest graphics cards, I know Nvidia had their graphics cards earlier this year released, and I've got a 760, and that's just sort of a mid-range card, but the performance that it can do compared to the console is it's insane.
Really?
The ability to do the resolution, that's the one thing that I'm not too keen about the consoles. I think the highest, is it the PlayStation goes at 1400 by 900 or something like that?
I think that was before. Now it's 1080p. Most of the games are native 1080p. Yeah, that's why I think there's been so much argument between PC gaming now and console gaming, because before it's like, well, the PS3 doesn't have 1080p. Now that the PS4 does have 1080p, it's there's more of a competition there. Now I haven't seen PC gaming, but from what I hear, I still think what I've been hearing is that PC has still a little bit more detail than the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. What's interesting, actually, Xbox One still has some games under 720p, but from what I hear, the detail has been a little bit better on PC gaming. So
you just have to make sure whatever game that you're looking at is optimized, because quite often some game developers are only supporting the consoles. So you'll find that some PC games are just ported console games. So the graphics and the game hasn't been optimized, so it won't run as smoothly as it should do, or it won't look as good as it should do. But if you get a game from a good developer, I know I was playing Far Cry 3 earlier this year, and it's you have to see it to believe it. Honestly, it's the physics with, I know like you were saying, mentioned with Need for Speed, the water, reflections, the sunlight, the way they do people's faces, it's so realistic.
Yeah, that was like kind of I was playing the other day NBA 2K14, and Ben was there when we first turned on the console. And Ben, you could kind of tell me and Timothy's reaction when we started.
Well, yeah, considering it sounded like two little girls at a One Direction concert.
Yeah, we were literally, it's like 3 a.m. in the morning, and we're jumping up and down. We couldn't believe the graphics. I mean, the players, you could see the sweat. Like, you've always heard this, but like literally, you could see the sweat. I was playing with someone, and they're like, "Why is Kobe Bryant so shiny? The game just started. He's already sweating like crazy." So, I mean, even the reflection of the lights on the court, you could see them. So it's a huge improvement, and I think it's going to be interesting because when you look at games like for the PlayStation 3, when the PlayStation 3 first came out, for example, like MotorStorm, the graphics at that time were amazing. But if you look back at it now, you're like, ooh, it's all right. So I'm curious to see how the games improve with PlayStation 4, PC as the years go on. Are we going to see the graphics get more intense, or is it going to be more of a detail? I don't think. I mean, we could get into 4K gaming soon, especially since we have 4K now TVs. But it's going to be interesting to see how this competition goes on, especially between the Xbox One, PS4, and PC gaming. Because really, honestly, I don't think. I'm sorry, anyone who's listening to this who is a Nintendo fan. I think Nintendo has their own kind of category for young kids. And I think now it's mostly between PC gaming, Xbox One, and PS4. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see. Now, kind of gaming off to the side. Now let's talk about PCs versus Chromebooks versus Mac. So what we'll kind of do is we'll have, John, you've used a Mac and you've used a PC. What do you prefer over PC that you don't get with a Mac?
The main reason that I sort of got on the whole Windows side was because I wanted to get back into gaming. And unfortunately with Mac, there's very few good titles on the Mac. And not only that, but with Macs, you can't upgrade the hardware and tailor it for gaming. So Apple doesn't have a specific Mac with the latest graphics card specifically for gaming. And especially when you're taking your budget into mind, if you want, I know the latest iMac is for the 780M graphics card from Nvidia. It's still a mobile graphics card, In the iMac, obviously it's the whole computer, but it's over £2,000 at least. I don't know how much it'll be in America. But with a PC, you can start wherever you want. You can choose your own parts. That means you can get into it at a lot lower price, and there's more better games. But for Mac, that's sort of I know everyone sort of says this, but it's where I do all my work. It's where I edit my videos. So that's my sort of social, personal use. But PC is more for my gaming side of things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because honestly, I couldn't see anyone paying. I mean, you use a PC, it's more a computer to do everything on, but at the same time, for those who want to get into gaming, of course, PC is the way to go, because no one wants to pay $1,000. No one would pay $1,000 for PlayStation 4 unless they've got money coming out the wazoo, or at the same time, it's just like no one's really going to pay $1,000 for a Mac just to do gaming. And I really think Mac is more of a computer for those who are into development of, for example, maybe applications, those who are into development of video editing, creating music. It's more of a commercial type of computer. A lot of people use it for their personal home use, but at the same time, I feel it's more for those video editing, again, making music, and more of a creative side, where PC gives you more of that freedom. Like you said, John, you can update the internals, the graphic cards. You can't really do that with a Mac. So of course now you can still get viruses with a Mac. You can still get viruses. So it's kind of really fits what you need your computer to do.
If you can spare the money, it's definitely amazing if you can use both operating systems. Because if you want to do your productivity, you've got your Mac, and then when you want to play some games, you've got your PC. So it's the best of both worlds, but obviously you have to be pretty lucky to have enough money to go about doing so, having two computers.
Yeah, it takes a lot of saving up, especially just for MacBook Pro. I think it took me a good summer to finally get my hands on one. But that's just a base model. I couldn't even imagine getting a Mac Pro, which that's just beast in itself. I want one day, but I'm gonna have to literally bump into a bunch of money just to get my hands on a Mac Pro. But anyway, Ben, how about Chromebooks? You've used PCs. I've used all three. Chromebooks.
I absolutely hate Mac because I know how to use it and I can use it if I need to. I just do not like using it.
Yeah, every time he's over, he's like, I hate this Mac, Alex.
I can't do anything on it. I hate it. So PCs, I like Windows. I know how to use it. And it's just easier for me. But I think still the simplest computer experience is still a Chromebook. Because you don't have to worry about software, you don't have to worry about viruses. You just open it, do what you need to do, and you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've noticed, it's funny, I've been noticing more and more we're seeing Chromebooks. It seems like every time I open up Feedly, I open up Twitter, there's something going on with the Chromebook. Whether it's a new Chromebook coming out, but it seems like it's really becoming, like you said before, Ben, it was becoming mainstream.
Yeah, it definitely is. Because I think I read something earlier, a few months back, about how the number of iPads in the schools, because one of the places Chromebooks are really catching on is in schools.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just becoming very mainstream. I know the county next to me, their whole school is all Chromebooks. They all have the Chromebook that I had last year, which was the Samsung, which I just recently upgraded to the Acer C720, which was probably the best purchase I've made in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just becoming so much more mainstream. The number of iPads is dropping, and the number of Chromebooks is vastly increasing because the price is so much less, and they do actually more in the school sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see now, Ben, as it comes to the hardware, is what the new Chromebook that you got, what is it? Is it still a plastic?
It's still plastic, but it definitely doesn't feel like it.
Okay. And is it more, because I remember the one you had before it was a scratch magnet.
Oh man, the one I had before, every time I look at it now, I'm like, what did I do? Put this thing under a car? Because it looks like that. The paint was very scratchy. But the thing is, that one came out over a year ago, I got it in January, so, and I mean, I didn't exactly treat it like I treat my Nexus tablet and my phone. I don't exactly treat it the same way because, I mean, it's a laptop. I didn't exactly buy a case for it or anything like that. But I mean, that one was a absolute scratch magnet, and it was slow because it had a tablet processor. And the reason it had all these flaws was because it came out over a year ago and only cost $250.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first Chromebook that ever was that inexpensive. But the Acer C7 one I got is great. There's nothing wrong with it yet. I mean, this paint definitely seems like it could handle a lot more. Mm-hmm. The hinge feels amazing. I mean, if that thing had a touchscreen, it would not wobble. It is awesome like that. And then the keyboard feels great, and it's fast. And it costs the same amount as the Samsung one.
Which is not bad. Yeah, that's definitely something I think that's putting the Chromebook in its own league, is the fact of its low cost price and the fact that it's a well running computer. But so basically we see PCs, Chromebooks, Macs. You have your Chromebooks more as you have your lower price computer. You have of course your PC is also lower price. It seems like Mac is the only high priced computer out there. Of course PCs can get pretty pricey too, depending on what you go with. But in the end, it seems like it's what works for you and what OS. For me, I would suggest, and I'll let you guys go around and what type of crowd you suggested for. For me, I think, like I said before, Mac is more of a commercial type of computer. Also would suggest for anyone who has Apple products, if you can get a Mac, works pretty good. Of course, the fact that your iPhone can sync up with your Mac, same thing with your iPad. It kind of just all works together. But in the end, it's more for people who are doing, for example, video editing, making music, more into a commercial type of environment. Mac's definitely for you. Now, John, how about you? What did you suggest PCs for? I know you had mentioned before it's great for gamers, but any other type of person you think that might be good for?
Especially if you can go for the higher hardware. PC are also great for the music and the video editing side of thing. Adobe has a ton of great software. So if you're photo editing, I know some of the higher end YouTubers, they use PC for higher resolution rendering and editing. But definitely for me personally, PC is my gaming platform.
Gaming one, yeah. So it seems like PC is really like your just all round, whether you're a gamer, you're into anything for YouTube or anything else requiring video editing. I forgot to mention, that's right, PC does great with that as well. And as well as your just everyday consumer. Now, Ben, how about Chromebooks? What would you who would you suggest to like a Chromebook to?
I would put a Chromebook, for me, I use mine like all day because the battery life allows me to do that. When I pick up I have a Toshiba laptop sitting here next to me, I can get maybe 4 hours max out of it.
So definitely for those who need...
My Chromebook, I can get, if I want to stretch, I can probably get 11 to 12 hours out of that thing.
Which is amazing. I think my iMac will give me like 4 to 6 hours. Like I could unplug it. Right now I have it plugged in. It's at, let's see, 99%. If I were to leave it unplugged probably by 3:30, I'd already be almost at 60%. Depending on what I'm doing, because that's something the MacBook Pro is horrible. Of course, Apple has improved it with their next generation models, but
yeah, they have the Haswell, which my Chromebook actually has a Haswell, which shocked me.
Yeah, which will definitely help with
the other thing I recommend a Chromebook for is someone who writes, because Google Drive runs seamlessly. Mm-hmm. When I'm typing up articles on the website, runs flawlessly. Mm-hmm. There are no problems at all. So if you're a writer, I suggest it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, John.
I was going to mention, I've just started to move all my school documents across to Google Drive. It's such a nice platform for, like Ben says, for writing and doing your work. And if you've got a computer at home and you're using computers at school or at work or college, it's great to be able to have it all in one place and you're not having to take it in on a USB stick, and it's all the same format, so you've got no worries. It's a really nice sort of ecosystem Google's got there.
Yeah, Google. I gotta say, Google's ecosystem is really starting to pick up and really just coming all together, especially with a newsstand just being announced. Everything's just really coming. Hangouts.
I think I'm gonna start using Newsstand again because when Currents was before, Currents was a decent app. It looked nice, but man, the battery killer.
Really, Currents. See, I've got Currents
disable it
on my iPad, but I have yet to use it.
Well, on the iPad, it's not as bad, but I don't know why on Android it just felt the need. It needed to sync all the time. Because I mean, like you've used Feedly, which every time you go in, it syncs up your latest articles.
Yeah, which Feedly I love.
Yeah, well, Feedly is great, but Currents did basically the same thing, but it did it all the time. So every time, whenever you had your phone on, Currents was constantly looking for the newest article. So it was just a battery killer.
See, I'm still gonna, like I said, I still gotta get my hands onto Currents and start using that. Hopefully soon. I think soon they said we would see. Currents is kind of like that extension for iOS users. Are we gonna see?
Yeah, it's gonna
Newsstand.
Newsstand. I think they said it's gonna come to iOS within the next couple months.
Which I'm curious to see, will they get sued for that name, Newsstand? Because I'm looking at an iPhone poster right now and I'm seeing Newsstand on the iPhone.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so we could see.
Who knows? They might keep the name. They might keep the name Currents on iOS.
Yeah, I think they might just because of legal issues. Which Newsstand is more of a generic name. I mean, I don't know.
What does Newsstand on iOS do? I've never actually looked at that. What does it even do?
Same thing. You can have your magazine subscriptions.
So it's got magazine subscriptions and like can you put RSS feeds in it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
John, do you know?
I'm not familiar with newsstands. As far as my knowledge is, I think you're right, just to the magazine side of things.
Yeah, because I don't think people really don't like Newsstand because there was this big argument of why can't I get rid of Newsstand on my home screen. There was even jailbreak tweaks to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, because the bloatware on Android, this is the thing I like with bloatware, is on Android, you can just disable it if you don't want it. On iOS, you're kind of forced into it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
you can't even hide it. It's just there.
You couldn't even put it in a folder before Newsstand.
Yeah.
At all. So finally in iOS 7 you could put it into a folder. People were like, yes, finally. So they were happy about that. Now let's move on to the next subject. That is the Nexus 10. Nexus 10. Apparently there's rumors it can be released very soon. Ben, what are your thoughts on these rumors?
Well, basically, someone leaked out a picture of the Nexus 10, actually two in the same day, which was kind of strange, on Reddit. And they leaked out one from a company, I can't remember where the other one was from, but basically they said, here's the Chromebook, I'm still thinking about the Chromebook, here's the Nexus 10, this is exactly what it's going to look like. We work for this company and this is what it shows in our database. And then they showed the price, which was £299 in Britain. So the math back to that, it equals $482 here in the States.
Which is not bad of a price.
It's not bad, but at the same time, last year's generation only cost $400. So I think they might have been looking at the cellular version.
Cellular version, yeah, because there's rumor for that. Also saying the Snapdragon 800,
which I would not be surprised at all. I think it's either gonna have a Snapdragon 800 or a Tegra 4.
Now 3 gigs of RAM.
I highly doubt it.
That would be
the reason I doubt that
crazy
is because one, it's overkill.
Yeah.
And two, especially with KitKat, it is like a 1 gig is overkill on KitKat.
See, for me, I'm a RAM hog, so if you give me 16 gigs and I need 4, that's fine with me. I'd rather have more than less.
Yeah.
I think, John, you probably agree with this. You with your PCs, yeah. You'd probably rather have more than less. It's kind of like for example, a cold winter day, you'd rather have more coats than less.
Yeah.
And be left freezing. So, me personally, if it has 3 gigs of RAM, it's like, hey, whatever, as long as it's not too little, because we all know when we don't have enough RAM, that can end up being such a huge headache.
Yeah.
Ooh, you can ask me right now. I'm running 4 gigs of RAM on my Mac, and I need 8. So I feel that pain. So I mean, I'm looking forward to see what Google has with the Nexus 10. Do you think we'd have the same design as the Nexus 5, Ben?
Same look or same? I think it'll have the same look. I think they're kind of going for a unified look with the Nexus devices because the Nexus 5 and the Nexus 7 look exactly the same.
Yeah. So could we just see an extension of the Nexus 7?
It just looks identical. So I think we'll see the same design, but the difference is this year it's going to be made by LG, which is a huge improvement over Samsung. I think Google's trying to block out Samsung from doing anything.
Does LG have any tablets out at the moment?
They have the G-Pad 8.3, which is actually a pretty beast tablet.
Because I know with the Nexus 5, it's got fairly similar internals to is it the G2?
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting if they did the same sort of thing with the Nexus 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be neat to see.
Yeah, they don't have any 10-inch tablets, but they do have an 8-inch. And the 8-inch, I mean, that is probably one of the best tablets of the year. It's it's pretty similar to the G2, except it doesn't have the buttons on the back. But, Snapdragon 800, 1080p screen, it's great.
Now, me personally, I would... Nexus 8, were the rumors before?
I want that so bad. I want that to happen so bad.
It would be cool to see, but then at the same time, you've got... I don't know, maybe making the next... What if the next generation Nexus tablet is a Nexus 8?
I don't know. I don't
kill off the Nexus 7.
The reason I can see the Nexus 8 happening is because Google waited to release the Nexus 10, which no one thought they would do. Everyone thought the Nexus 10 was going to come at the same time as the 5. They waited. And they kind of showed a different looking tablet on their website. And the camera was in a different place than on the Nexus 7. The home screen buttons were a little more small in the center. So, I mean, that kind of showed the Nexus 8, but we don't know because there's been no other leaks.
Yeah, Google likes to kind of troll with everyone.
I want it to happen because, I mean, I love my Nexus 7 to death, but the screen's getting small. Because I keep using your iPad mini, and it's like, I love that size.
That size. Whoa, Ben actually gave an iPad a compliment.
Yes, I did.
This is shocking. Straight on a podcast, he just
yes, I did.
I'm going to save this podcast for the rest of my life. I've been using Nexus 5 for like 3 weeks now, and I've got to say, probably the best experience I've used with an Android device, period. Yeah. It's amazing. I just have a few things I don't like. Probably the first is the camera.
Really?
Yeah, I've kind of started to not like it. I've noticed just the pictures do not come out as clear as I would have liked them to, and this is because I came from an HTC One right before, so I'm kind of spoiled as it comes to that. And that's not really Google's fault, because really they're providing such a low-priced device. Now, if this were a flagship where you're paying the flagship type prices, then it'd be something they need to fix. But the fact they sell for $350 off contract, it's kind of something you kind of let slide. And the speakers as well, which is saying that can be fixed through an update. The other thing is, and this isn't Google's fault.
I don't know about the speakers. That's more of a hardware thing. I know someone figured out a tweak with Root to kind of boost the speakers, but I mean, it really just doesn't do much. That's the hardware thing.
Yeah,
I don't know what Google's been doing with the speakers, because the Galaxy Nexus, which is the phone I have, it has had the best speakers out of any phone I've tried, except the HTC One.
Which that was crazy speakers.
But I mean, everything other than that, the Galaxy Nexus has a great speaker, even though it's in the back. Yeah,
this one they could have done better with. And the next issue I've got, and this has nothing to do with Google's issue on it, is the fact that I don't have LTE, and that's actually Sprint's fault because something with the towers, which I wish they would have clarified to some of their users before you activated the Nexus 5. But so still running 3G. But I'm looking forward to get that wireless charger. That's, I think, going to be kind of neat.
Yeah, that thing looks cool. I'm tempted to get one for my Nexus 7, but I still don't have a phone that I can wirelessly charge, so I might wait.
Yeah, it's...
I'm assuming that was your house, John?
Just everything about it. Now, the 1080p display, it's not like other 1080p displays. Like I kind of noticed sometimes it's not as clear as, for example, like the HTC One or the Galaxy S4, but it's still a very, very beautiful display. So for the most part, fall in love with this phone. I probably wouldn't even be selling it once I'm done with Sprint. I'm gonna go.
Hey, I warned you. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, it's just the Nexus experience is so much better than other experiences. And I'm not gonna talk about the updates because a lot of people are disappointed with that regarding the Moto X. But nonetheless, the stock experience, what I'm referring to, is one of the best ones. Now, John, maybe you can kind of, I don't know if you've been following the rumors. We already saw the iPhone 5S was released in September. We're already hearing rumors of the iPhone 6.
I've seen a couple of renders and things like that online, and it's definitely taken me interest. It's probably the phone that I'm going to wait and upgrade to, and that's probably going to be my next phone. And I'm just sitting here with my fingers crossed and hoping that Apple pulls something amazing out of the bag, because I really think that they need to push and go a bit harder against Android, because Android's grown, got so much better in the past few years. It's unbelievable.
It is, because I remember when I used the HTC Evo, I was like, this is the worst. I mean, the HTC Evo when it came out was great, but because I had used an iPhone 4, when I used the Evo, I was like, this is just horrible. And that's why I didn't like Android before, why I ended up going the Apple direction. But since then, Android has just completely, I mean, they have just stepped up their game like crazy. And I feel kind of they caught up. Apple didn't think they were going to catch up, and all of a sudden, boom, they did. But
that happened as soon as they turned the switch on Ice Cream Sandwich, that kind of blew it out of the water, because it was such a drastic redesign.
Yeah, and I really think, I mean, iOS 7, don't get me wrong, it's a good update, but like you said, John, I really feel they gotta pull something out of the bag. And I really think like they were saying, a 4.9-inch display on an iPhone 6 with maybe a Retina Plus.
That would be perfect.
That would be great, and maybe some fixes here to iOS 7 here and there. And like I noticed, I don't know, John, do you use a Apple tablet?
I used to. I borrow a couple of people from now and then.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed. For me, iOS 7 does not run very smooth on my iPad mini. And I've also noticed that on an iPad. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if Apple's going to fix this. I don't know if anyone else who's listening has noticed this, but I noticed it just doesn't run as smooth as it did on my iPhone. And I use it on an iPhone 5 and an iPhone 5S.
It's strange you mentioned that, because on my phone, the 4S has the same processor as the iPad 2, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's on
5 chip.
Yeah.
And it iOS 7, like you said, it's better on my phone than it is on the iPad 2, which that doesn't make much sense, but I totally understand what you mean.
Yeah.
iOS 7 on tablets, I don't know. You might be right. It might be some sort of bug.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because I mean, it runs decently, and I mean decently on an iPad 3, but I still notice like it's not that buttery smooth that we're used to with iOS. It's just kind of like, I noticed just like some things with lag. And MKBHD kind of brought this out. We were watching his video the other day. This is a bug that I'm actually very surprised how he just picked this up. I don't know how he did. But if you double click on wallpapers, it will automatically crash your settings app.
So, I actually tried that out in the Apple Store the other day, and it's the same on the Retina iPad mini as well.
Really? See, it's like,
I gotta try it on an iPad Air. I gotta do that now.
Try it on an iPad Air.
I know one of my friends has an iPad Air. I gotta try that next time I see them.
And for me, I feel, you know what? It's like, had Steve Jobs been around, none of this would fly. I kind of feel like they're kind of slacking off. And sometimes I wonder, when Apple slacks off, is it because they have something bigger and better on the way? And this is just something to please the current consumers. So I'm wondering, will iOS 8 be something completely different? Is this just something to please consumers for now until they release the iPhone 6 with a completely different design, bigger screen, and maybe some improvements for either or?
Well, if Steve Jobs was still alive, we wouldn't even have a 4-inch iPhone screen.
Yeah.
He did not believe in a bigger screen on a phone, and he did not believe on a smaller screen on an iPad.
I think I think we would have seen the 5 because from what I heard, before Steve Jobs passed away, he had finished a few generations. He already had written up and everything. So I think he was the iPhone 5, and you can just the way it was designed and everything, I could kind of see him having his hand in that.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that how everything was just crafted on the iPhone 5. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful smartphones I've ever held. And he was a lot about that. So I feel like maybe he had his hand in the iPhone 5, but as it comes to iOS 7, there still needs to be some improvements, I think.
That might be down to Johnny Ive, because didn't Johnny Ive take over the design for the software as well once?
Yep, Scott Forstall was.
Yeah, that's the guy.
He's still on Twitter. I haven't. They say he's still in hiding. No one knows where he's at.
But I think Johnny Ive did a good job with the design of iOS 7.
Yes, he did.
It's
design-wise,
so much better than previous iOS generations. But maybe because of this fairly big change in iOS, that's what's brought a few bugs along. Because iOS beforehand was pretty much identical going through iOS 4 to iOS 6. And because of that, maybe they were able to roll out some of the bugs and problems that they had with the earlier releases.
Yeah. I feel design-wise, iOS 7 was great, but I've got to say, function-wise, it was one of the worst. Function-wise, it was like, I don't know. It's just like I was testing the beta out from one of the first betas, and when I was testing the beta, I said to myself, "Ooh, this is gonna kind of be brutal." I mean, it got to the point where I couldn't even run the beta. I had to downgrade back to iOS 6 because of the fact. And I noticed on my iPad is where I had most of the issues. That's where I downgraded because of the fact it was just so many bugs. So I kind of feel, I don't know, maybe if Apple kind of rushed it with iOS 6, with iOS 7, and we even, I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was sometime in like April. It was like sometime in March and April of last year. They had been saying that iOS 7 still wasn't ready, and they were assigning more people to try to get that ready and done by June. So I kind of feel maybe they rushed it, but I guess hopefully, I know there is 7.1 has already been pushed out to developers, and from what I hear, it's been very, very buggy as well. So let's see what happens. Hopefully those issues will be fixed. Now, also, John, they were saying they might be working on another iPhone C or the 6C.
I haven't heard any rumors of that yet, but
I saw that earlier. Me personally, I think the iPhone 5C should be the last plastic iPhone.
Yeah, I do like the design. The idea is sort of clever to try and bring in the whole idea of the color in it. It's a bit cheaper, but if people say, "I want a new iPhone, what should I go for?" I'd say, don't bother with the 5C, just go straight to the 5S.
Yeah, see, the 5C is good for people like my little sister. You know, she wants a colorful phone, and she just wanted an iPhone. But I feel like it just wasn't from when it was announced. I said, I don't think it's really going to do well because, you know, a lot of people, they want those new features with the iPhone. You know, when the iPhone 5S came out, everyone wanted the fingerprint scanner. Everyone was excited about that. That's what sold. That's what people lined up for. The iPhone 5C was more of, hey, we're replacing iPhone 5, but they spent this money on designing this phone, releasing this phone, and now they discontinued it from one of the factories in China from making the phone. So you can tell sales have been, it looks like, declining with the iPhone 5C. So, I mean, they could probably keep it up, but they would have to do something like, I could see an iPhone 5C doing well if it were like kind of like the Nexus 5 350 op contract.
Yeah, that's what Apple needs to do, because with the emerging markets in China and South Africa and places like that, people don't want to spend so much money on a phone. But if you've got the Nexus and the Moto G and stuff like that, phones that are affordable off contract, that's where Apple should be heading if that's what the consumers want.
Definitely. I think they should discontinue the iPod Touch and replace it with a low price off contract iPhone 5C.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
So hopefully someone from Apple will listen to this podcast and maybe do that. That would be pretty neat.
That would be.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But nonetheless, gonna kind of wrap it up here from this podcast. Just real quick, John writes articles sometimes on our website. And so be sure to check out some of his articles on our site. John, you wrote one recently. It was about Valve and Xbox One. You want to go a little bit into that before we end the podcast?
Yeah, just to do with Valve now having more active members than Xbox Live. So Valve has their gaming platform called Steam, and that's where the majority of PC gamers, I'd say, go to get their games. And Steam is great. You've got always have a sale on. They always have Steam sales. Steam summer sale is huge. You can get fairly recent games for as low as £5, $10, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And the PC gaming community has just grown massively recently. And I think something like 60 million active users, which is considerably more than Xbox Live, but PlayStation Network, it's over 100 million active users, so there's still have a way to go with that.
Wow, that's actually very interesting. So be sure to check out John's article. We'll leave a link in the description below. And also, John, you want to kind of talk about your channel a little bit, kind of let some of our viewers here know what you do on your channel over at iAdvisor UK?
Yeah, sure. So like Alex says, my channel is youtube.com/iAdvisor UK. And all the videos that I have up at the moment are to do with Project Icarus. And you go on my channel, I've got Project Icarus, the introduction is the channel trailer. And basically that's just my fancy name for a project where I build my own computer. And there's a few time-lapse videos in there where I'm showing you building the computer, installing certain hardware, explaining what components I've chosen and why. And then coming up pretty soon, I should have a good video wrapping everything up, giving you the benchmarks and telling you, was it worth it in the end?
Okay, awesome, John. We appreciate having you here on our podcast. And be sure to check out his channel. We'll leave all the links to social networks and his channel. And check out his videos, subscribe to his channel. And thanks for watching our podcast, guys. We'll be back hopefully within the next few weeks, next few days, not weeks. That would be bad. We'll be back within the next few days. We'll have another podcast for you. So thanks for watching. And this podcast will also be available for you to download through iTunes. We'll also leave a link in the description below. So thanks for watching, guys, and listening. And we'll see you in our next podcast.